the gin joints in all the towns in all the world.
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
Oh, but if Jan should find out.
All right. I tried to reason with you.
All the gin joints and
You're busy living.
I watched sea beams.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Hello, my friends. Fasten your seatbelts. Ask the flight attendant for a bottle of wine. No glass necessary, because I'm about to do a deep dive into... You're going to be shocked, I tell you, about the deep dive into Casablanca, the greatest movie of all time. By far, it's not just a masterpiece. It is, get ready, drum beat, ellipses, perfect. It's the perfect movie. It has no flaws. Yes, boy, that's going to raise a ruckus amongst some people. I know right there. What I mean by that is, I'm not talking about tiny little sequential errors or, little scenes that are obviously stage scenes like Rick and Ilsa in the car in Paris. It's a conceit. We're willing to allow that conceit. I'm not talking about those little things. I'm talking about in my 8 primary categories, which I consider the 8 objective categories of filmmaking. And you've got them right there in front of your screen. In all 8 of those categories, this movie is 10s. 10s. No other movie comes close to having 10s in all categories. Movie I'm aware of does that. This movie does it. And it's also, what is it about? Casablanca? On top of that, on top of being perfect in all 8 of those categories, it is about the most important thing a movie can be about. It's about the redemption of the protagonist, the main character. It's about redemption. Personal redemption, not from outside. It's personal. A guy finding his honesty, his integrity, his idealism, his fairness, his ability to love, right on down the line. It's everything. It's soul. It has to do with the soul and him finding his soul again. And you just don't get a bigger topic than that. That's it. I mean, yeah, sure. James Bond and others, they're saving the world, and saving the world is obviously great. It's big, it's huge. But guess what? Yeah, Casablanca's got saving the world also. Sure, there's love. Love is important. There's some great love movies. Yes, getting love, finding love, losing love, getting it back. That's important. Hey, guess what? Casablanca's got that too. So you got a world war. You got that's the big sort of overall menace in the movie, and then you've got love, redemption, finding it again, maybe in the movie. But this is truly about redeeming Rick Blaine, the proprietor of Rick's Café Américain, and that's what it's about. And it's done exquisitely. So, I mean, just to have those topics, a war, love, redemption, that's not enough. You've got to be able to do that right. And you've got to be able to do it in a way that's not preachy, that it just flows. It just, all of a sudden, you're smacked upside the head with what's going on in this movie, what it's about, and just how freaking deep it is. I'm not going to go into how all of this was almost an accident. Hodgepodge of writers, great writers. Script only half done when it starts. The ending, they don't know the ending until almost the end of the actual production process. I mean, there's a bunch of behind the scenes stuff. I'm not going to get into any of that. It kind of blows you away when you find out about it. But the thing that I'm going to get into is just this movie and the movie making process. Everything is exquisite in this. And I'll have to say, I think the primary thing that makes this movie great is Michael Curtiz, the director. The directing in this movie is, I think, perhaps, pretty sure, the greatest directing ever. And I mean, better than Spielberg, better than Eastwood, better than Wyler, better than all of them. I mean, go right on down the line. I mean, it's just, I'm going to get into why that's the case. So anyway, the directing is phenomenal. And then right below that, just barely below that, the two things that are so important are the script and the acting. The script and the acting are almost as good as the directing. Perfect script, perfect acting, really. It's flawless acting by all the characters in this. The directing, in my perspective, to get back to it, is flawless as well. And then you got the score, the musical score on this. Again, it's one of the best. I'm not going to say it's the best, but it's perfect for the movie. So again, that perfection thing. So, but it's one of the best ever. Just so well done. Gets out of the way. Just incredible directing. The actual writing on this, I'm talking about the script writing, but I'm talking about the actual writing dialogue on this is the best ever. It's been rated the best script in movie history on a lot of places. And man, I mean, you're up against tens of thousands of other movies. And Roger Ebert also considered it the greatest. It's the greatest. It's the greatest script of all time. It's the greatest dialogue of all time. And then another place that Casablanca excels is the pacing. The pacing is unrelenting. I mean, scene to scene to scene. And to get back to the acting real quick, the secondary characters in this movie, well, it's not really the acting, it's the characters. So the secondary characters in this movie are phenomenal. The acting is impeccable by them. Of course, Bogart is just amazing. And I'll get to all of this in detail when I go scene by scene in this movie. Yes, it's going to be the only movie ever, I think, that I'm ever going to go scene by scene and talk about the brilliance of the movie. And one of the ways that it's brilliant is that it does something no other movie does, and that is every scene revolves around the protagonist, Rick Blaine, even if he's not in the scene. And I'm going to explain that in detail, how each scene of somehow indirectly or directly refers to the man whose redemption is on the line. And these secondary characters, they are in the movie. We love them, most of them. We either love them or hate them for right reasons. But their actions, what they do, how they respond to Rick, what they say about Rick, or even if they're doing something away from Rick, it's about Rick. Rick Blaine, the man whose redemption is on the line. And and it's done so subtly that you almost have to watch this movie 10 or 20 times to catch some of this stuff. That's another brilliant aspect of this movie. They put so much in the scenes. Watching it again for this review, I saw things again that I hadn't seen before. You got, okay, I'm not going to even get into it right now, but there are things that you just don't get until you've watched it a lot of times, because the first time you watch it, it's like listening to a new song for the first time. You're so enraptured by the song, you have to listen to it a second, third, fourth, fifth time before you start getting the subtlety of the instruments, the way they're all put together, the chorals and everything else. And this movie does that. So it's got it all. Those eight categories that I've given before, and that I just put up in front of my screen a while ago, they're all in Casablanca, and they make it by far the greatest movie of all time. In fact, personally, I think if you're going to have a list of the greatest movies of all time, you need to have Casablanca at number 1, and then have a blank space at number 2. It's that much better than even the great movies behind it. The first two Godfathers, Shawshank Redemption, Big Country, Lawrence of Arabia. Just go right on down the list. Blade Runner, all of those great movies. They need to start at number 3. That's how great this movie is. I'm going to try to prove that when I go scene by scene and give a final synopsis on Casablanca. So that's what we're going to do. And I hope you stick around for what I've got to say. I hope some things are new. Some things have been said by others, but we'll see. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Okay, let's do this. One of the very first lines in Shakespeare's Hamlet is a character saying to another approaching character, stand and unfold yourself. Shakespeare uses unfold several times in it, and he does it subtly, and that is exactly what Hamlet's about. Excuse me. It is about the unfolding of Hamlet. Who is he? Who is this guy? This sort of mysterious guy who has stuff going on inside and has to figure things out. Well, that is Casablanca. It is Rick Blaine. Casablanca is about the unfolding of Rick Blaine, this hard-shelled, cynical, crusty proprietor of a tavern in bizarre Casablanca who treats everybody with equanimity. He treats everybody equally. Crooks, the people working for him. I mean, everybody is treated under what Rick considers to be fair, but he doesn't seem to really care about anybody. But we start seeing cracks in that. And the way we see those cracks is through the secondary characters. Every secondary character in Casablanca says something or does something that makes Rick react directly. And then there's indirect stuff that happens in Casablanca. Ilsa and Laszlo talking, and Laszlo says to Ilsa twice, I love you. Ilsa does not say, I love you back. And that allows the door to open for us, the viewers, to realize that Rick and Ilsa could get together. Those scenes are away from Rick, but they're indirectly about Rick. Even though they're great scenes, the character development in those is great, they're really about Rick. Everything in this movie is about Rick. It's about bringing the viewer over to Rick's Cafe and Rick Blaine. And this includes even the opening credits, the opening scene of the world that you're looking at unfortunately, with the clouds around it. It's hokey, but who cares? It's a conceit, and I'll buy the conceit. But I'll get into that, this opening sequence. It's just 1 minute with a voiceover. I'll get into that here in a second. But the things that I'm going to talk about when I go through the scenes of Casablanca, which I'm not going to do with any other movie, is I'm going to go through some or all of those 8 things that I consider great about a movie. And I'm going to go through those in each scene and show how brilliant they are in each scene. Unbelievably. Yes, I'm going to do that. I'm going to talk about the unfolding of Rick in the scenes where this is appropriate, where we are seeing another crack in the Rick sort of metallic facade. So I'm going to do that. And of course, talk about what the other characters are doing, how it relates to Rick, and how each scene actually refers to Rick. So that's what I'm going to do with all of those. In this opening sequence, it has the voiceover. I don't like voiceovers. Voiceovers, I think, are kitsch, and they are generally unneeded. Every once in a while, they work pretty well. I think they work well here, like they did in the first Star Wars with the opening sort of rolling. We're going to let you know about what's going on in the Battlestar universe and everything else. I think that's what it was called. Anyway, so it works as long as it's short and it's crisp and it says what's going on, and it gives you a broad overview of what we're about to see. But what I find really interesting in this opening little 1 minute thing with the globe and the narrator explaining about World War II and the ominous presence that's going on in the world and the people trying to escape. As you see there, they're going from Paris down into Marseille, and then the refugees are trying to get out. They go across the Mediterranean, they go to Africa, they go to Casablanca, and we're going to get that visual here in a second. But what I find interesting about this, and I'm going to pause it I won't pause it. They get to Casablanca. Well, they're not going to Casablanca, really, are they? They're going to Rick's Cafe. And we're going to find that, again, it's pointing to Rick's Cafe. It's implied that's where it's going to go. So you've got the bazaar in the streets and everything else. It's really well done, setting a mood, setting a scene. Now, one thing that people may say is, well, you could say that about any movie with protagonists. All the scenes in a movie are really about the protagonist or about the other characters and how the characters have to act with that protagonist. In some degree, that's correct. But in Casablanca, Not only are these things like this opening sequence related, eventually related to Rick and Rick's Cafe, but they're the multitude of scenes in Casablanca are actually with Rick in them. And something happening to make Rick respond and giving us a peek into the Rick interior. And that there's something a bit fascinating about this man. He's not just this hard-shelled exterior. And so that is really the fascination with Casablanca. You want to find out who this guy is. And so that's what we're going to do. And we'll start, we've already gone through the opening credits, so we're going to start with sort of the bizarre scene with the pickpockets and stuff like that, and look at some of the subtle stuff, the music and the acting and things like that. So that will be the next scene that we take a look at in our journey through the scenes of Casablanca. Okay, in that first brief 1-minute clip, we got a voiceover narration telling us that the refugees of Europe are coming out of Europe trying to escape a horrible war. And the little route on the map took us to Casablanca. And I think this is brilliant by the producers of this film to put it in Casablanca. It's an exotic locale, unknown to the rest of the world. I think it's a perfect place for character building, which is what this movie is about, or character finding, what this movie is about. So it's mysterious, and we're wondering, what the hell is Casablanca? So it's a good setup, and it's brisk. And the movie itself is brisk. The pacing, I said, is the best pacing in movie history. So what we're going to do now is go through two consecutive scenes and talk about those 8 categories that I mentioned and about the brilliance that is done in each of those categories. The first scene is the bazaar in Casablanca. Wow. And then Major Strasser, the German official, arriving at the airport, and we learn that it's not just about Casablanca. It's not just about the crazy atmosphere in Casablanca and the crazy characters, but right at the end of that second scene, the third scene in the movie, him arriving at the airport, we hear Louis say, everybody comes to Rick's. And then Strasser unbelievably says, I've heard of this Rick. And so all of a sudden now it seems like it's not just about all of those things. It's actually about who is this Rick guy. That the German official coming in from, I guess, German territory, Nazi territory, knows about Rick. Okay, so, all right, so we're going to start back where the plane, or back in Casablanca, right at the end of that first scene. And then I'm going to stop several times and just talk about the brilliance of what's being done. So here we go.
Africa to Casablanca in French Morocco. Here, the fortunate ones, through money or influence or luck, might obtain exit visas and scurry to Lisbon. And from... Okay, so we know that they're going here to actually escape to Lisbon and perhaps the Americas. And I like that guard at the top of the tower smoking casually, and we get sort of a scene of the way Casablanca looks. It's nice. It's got that image in our heads. Lisbon to the New World, but the others wait in Casablanca and wait and wait and wait. Brilliant. That's brilliant writing. He didn't just say they go to Casablanca and they wait interminably to try to get out. I mean, and the way he pauses and wait. That's just brilliant directing. Brilliant directing by Michael Curtiz, and terrific writing. And right away we go into the bazaar. And it's got a monkey in here, a parrot, a bunch of other stuff. Monkeys. Got this, I want to talk about the musical score. Max Steiner on the musical score. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so here we go. Drum roll.
All officers. 2 German couriers carrying important official documents murdered on train from Oran. Murderer and possible accomplices headed for Casablanca. Round up all suspicious characters and search them for stolen document. Important.
Okay, so the interesting thing about this, obviously now we're starting to get drama, actual drama. Two couriers killed. I like the way they introduced this. It's very short. It's just about 10 seconds. Looks very official. And what the hell does this have to do with it? Well, we know this is a telegraph. This movie is full of telegraphing moments, letting us know what's going to go on. Not only is it about those what's going to happen with the suspects, suspicious characters. I mean, we know now that there's a threat in Casablanca. It's not just a refugee place. When they go there, they're not safe. I mean, what's suspicious? So it sets up the environment, the atmosphere of Casablanca. And as we know, these letters of transit, which they're later called, they end up where? They end up in Rick's hands. Rick again. Everything in this movie points back to Rick. Another thing about Rick's Cafe, we learn later. Even though Rick is not involved, he's not idealistic anymore, Rick's place is actually the refuge in Casablanca. Rick has unwittingly, subconsciously set up a safe place. It's brilliant. But anyway, that's getting a little bit ahead of myself. So this is a setup scene. Face. Director Michael Curtiz again. He's terrific on just getting right up in the face. One problem I've had with so many movies is they're too far away. We can't really get right up in the face of what's happening. Allez.
May we see your papers?
I don't think I have them on me.
In that case, we'll have to ask you to come along.
Wait, it's possible that, yes. Here they are.
Listen to that music in the background. Dun, 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 by Max Steiner. Terrific. And boy, is this not a scary place? They're just going around, pull up in the cars, go around and start pulling people off of the street. This is the Casablanca we're being introduced to. An exotic locale, but it is not a refuge like we were like was implied in the beginning. Just terrific.
These papers expired 3 weeks ago. You have to come along.
Okay, let me back up to the couple. Sorry about that. We'll get to him in a second. All right, this couple right here, Anina and Jan, are in this movie 5 times. This is the first time. And of course, we don't know that, but this is another telegraphing. I love the look on that face of the man in back. Look how afraid he is. And Nina and Jan right now are just a little bit confused and concerned because evidently they maybe just arrived. Again, brilliant acting, brilliant directing. But as we find out later, Anina and Jan, especially Anina, she is a catalyst for letting us know something about Rick's benign, benevolent character, a crack in that facade that Rick shows to the world. So great, phenomenal telegraphing here. Okay, the guy's running away. All right. This again is just, this takes it to a new level. He's been murdered because he wouldn't just simply show identification to the authorities. So it's been ramped up now what Casablanca is. Also, just as an aside, you don't have to know this watching the movie, and I certainly didn't know it the first time. When I saw this placard up on the wall behind him, I just figured it was the German or French official in charge of Casablanca. And so that's all you really need to know is that something's up. The sky looks ominous. Well, this is an ironic moment in the movie. Of course, it was shot during World War II, and the French had 2 governments. Actually, once the Germans took over, they only had 1 government left over, and it was the Vichy government. It was run by Philippe Pétain, the man in the picture there. What he says in that poster, in that placard, is "Je tiens mes promesses, mais celles des autres." And what that means is I keep my promises and the promises of others. So the irony, what promises? Promises of freedom, promises of whatever. Well, the only promise here is death. So the Vichy are in charge of Casablanca. So that's this brilliant irony here. There he is. Close up of this of his face. Okay, so we get Free France in this. So we know that this man who was killed obviously was part of the underground, and they're trying to, Petain and others are trying to snuff out the underground. Obviously, the Nazis are trying to snuff them out. We don't need to know all of that as a background. We just know this guy was for free France. So he was allegedly, even for early moviegoers, a good guy, or for somebody who's watching this for the first time. Terrific stuff. And I love how the camera stays there just long enough for you to get that. Okay, liberty, égalité, fraternité, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Irony again, and Curtis is showing us that. It's not about that at all, is it? That's not what you get in Vichy Casablanca. Music. Listen to that music.
I don't know, my dear.
Pardon, monsieur, pardon, madame. Have you not heard?
We hear very little, and we understand even less.
Two German
Terrific line. I mean, I'm just going to stop briefly on every great line in this. We hear very little and we understand even less. Terrific throwaway line. There are no throwaway lines in this, but I mean, it's a throwaway line.
couriers were found murdered in the desert, the unoccupied desert. This is the customary roundup of refugees, liberals, and, of course,
customary.
young girl for Monsieur Renault, the prefect of police.
He just said, and of course, young girls for Mr. Renault, prefect of police. So, wow. So now we know that the person in charge, the prefect, is not only authoritarian and murders people for not showing identification, but he's a lecher as well. Wow. It's a throwaway again.
Unfortunately, along with these unhappy refugees, the scum of Europe has gravitated to Casablanca. Some of them have been waiting years for a visa. I beg of you, monsieur, watch yourself.
Look at the close-up on this, and just the acting is just brilliant on this. And it shows the two sides of Casablanca. You got the rich who have come, like the voiceover said, and then you've got the scum of the earth, as he ironically says, which he is part of.
Be on guard. This place is full of vultures everywhere. Everywhere.
Thank you very much.
Not at all. Au revoir, monsieur. Au revoir, madame.
Au revoir. Amusing little fellow. Waiter. Oh, how silly of me.
You hear that Max Steiner's horn come in right there? That was really nice.
I left my wallet in the hotel. Oh,
This is terrific. They're looking up at the plane. I'll go into it a little bit more here. Look at the faces. The rich guy, not too worried, just kind of looking at the plane. Others, just like, I'll never be on that plane. Fantastic. All in character. Terrific. How the camera is moving. This is a Michael Curtiz thing. He was one of the early people who moved the camera. When you're in a crowd that's looking or moving, a lot of times you're moving as well. We are the person who's moving in this. It's terrific directing. And the drama.
Perhaps tomorrow we'll
There they are for the second time. And she looks so hopeful and sweet, doesn't she?
be on the plane.
Brilliant. Where does the plane fly over? Flies over the main focus of the movie. And I think we're only about 3.5 or 4 minutes into the movie at this point. That's what it's all about. Rick's Café Américain. It's also interesting that we find out here this wasn't the Freedom plane to Lisbon. It was the plane carrying the Germans in. Just a little aside, this was the only scene in the entire movie that was not shot on set in Burbank. It was actually shot, I think it was at the Van Nuys Airport.
It is very good to see you again, Major Stasser.
Thank you, thank you.
May I present Captain Renault, Police Protector Casablanca.
Look at the look on his face here. Louis, the prefect, who we know now is an authoritarian who murders people and is a lecher. But that look on his face, that sort of sly nonchalance, I don't give a shit. Yeah, I'm in charge here, and I'll sort of have some obeisance towards you. But he's just so cool, isn't he? I mean, right away, we know a lot about Louis just from that look. Wow. Okay. And great acting.
Unoccupied France welcomes you to Casablanca. Thank you, Captain. It's very good to be here.
Unoccupied.
Major Sasser, my aide, Lieutenant Cassell.
Captain Torelli, the Italian staff is at your command, Major.
Of you.
Just a funny little thing that happened right there. The Germans were contemptuous of the Italians during the war. Of course, this isn't about, you don't have to know this in the movie, but it's just hilarious. I mean, and Strasser ignores the Italian basically. He's dismissive. And the Italian goes into the stereotype of the Italians who just never stop talking. This movie is hilarious, along with ominous.
You may find the climate of Casablanca a trifle warm, Major.
Oh, we Germans must get used to all climates, from Russia to the Sahara.
Brilliant line again. We Germans must get used to all kinds of climates. They're going to take over the world. And the look on Louis' face looking up at him. It's just another great line. What, we already have 2 or 3?
But perhaps you were not referring to the weather.
What else, my dear Major?
By the way, the murder of the couriers, what has been done?
Well, realizing the importance of the case, my men are rounding up twice the usual number of suspects.
You know already who the murderer is.
Good. Is he in custody?
Oh, there's no hurry. Tonight he'll be at Rick's. Everybody comes to Rick's.
Notice how smooth this scene is? Camera's not shaking. Camera is moving with them. It's like we're moving with them. Again, just brilliant directing. And yet he still stays close enough to their faces where we can see facial expressions. Okay, now they're talking about Rick's.
I have already heard about this cafe and also about Mr. Rick himself.
Oh, let me back that up so we can hear Louis say everybody comes to Rick's.
Good. Is he in custody?
Oh, there's no hurry. Tonight he'll be at Rick's. Everybody comes to Rick's.
I have already heard about this cafe and also about Mr. Rick himself.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And then, of course, we get the scene where it's finally the cauldron and crucible of the movie, Rick's American, Cafe American. Got a nice outdoor look and perspective at this. Okay, so we'll move into the next scenes here in a minute. I just want to talk about briefly, I don't really want to say much more except that now we have everything in this movie. We don't quite yet have the story in this movie. That they're still building that. And of course, as the viewer, we always allow 5 to 10 to 12 minutes for a movie to build, right? And it's building. You got the murdered couriers and just all the danger and perhaps lechery. But it already has drama. I mean, the drama is there, even though we don't know that the story isn't there yet. The writing is impeccable. The pacing is stupendous. The characters are intriguing so far. And of course, the acting is off the charts. The directing is just phenomenal. The movement, the facial expressions, and getting up close on there. And then Max Steiner's musical score is just really subtle and perfect for each scene so far, isn't it? All right, so we'll move into Rick's Cafe, and we actually get invited in. This fourth scene at Rick's Cafe is where we become completely enthralled with this movie, captivated. What the hell's going on? Who is this Rick Blaine? Who are these characters? It's just the drama and the story start coming together right here, and we want to know more. This is, I think, the longest scene in the movie. It's about 8 minutes, and it is so rapid fire. The pacing, again, the one-liners. I mean, there may be a dozen one-liners in this scene. So let's just jump in and get to it. Music.
It had to be you. It had to be you. I've wandered around and finally found somebody who...
Look at this directing here. The camera comes inside like a patron. We are being welcomed in as the audience. We're being welcomed into Rick's Cafe Americain.
Could make me be true, could make me be blue, and even be glad just to be sad, thinking of some others I've seen.
And that lovely happy music. I mean, before, Casablanca had been a dangerous place, and now it's not because of our protagonist.
I'd never be meek, I'd never be cross, I'd try to be boss, but they wouldn't do. Or nobody else gave me a thrill, honey, with all your balls. I love you, still have to be you. Wonderful,
I just love Sam.
you have to be you. 'Cause my hair
Look at this woman, how much she's enjoying him.
is curly. 'Cause my teeth are pearly.
Waiting.
What did he just say? Waiting, waiting, waiting. And what were we told by the narrator? Where they wait and they wait and they wait. Triple words duplicated here. Brilliant.
I'll never get out of here. I'll die in Casablanca.
But
The desperation.
can't you make it just a little more,
More desperation.
please?
Sorry, madam, but diamonds are a drug on the market. Everybody sells diamonds. There are diamonds everywhere. 2,400.
All right.
I love how there are triple words in this movie all the time. Diamonds, diamonds everywhere, diamonds all over the market. Brilliant writing again.
Are ready. The men are waiting.
Everything is gar nicht. Wir sollten eine viel stärkere Hand haben hier in Casablanca.
The Germans walk by, speaking.
Fishing smack Santiago. It leaves at 1 tomorrow night. Here from the end of La Medina. Third boat.
Thank you.
And bring the 50.
Does this guy look like a shady character or what? Casablanca is filled with them.
15,000 francs in cash. Remember, in cash.
See how this camera is moving around with people moving around? Brilliant directing by Michael Curtiz, the greatest of all time, directing in this movie.
Take that now.
Cheerio.
Open up, Abdul. Yes, yes, Professor.
See, just a little funny thing, that look on his face when he says cheerio. This movie mixes the serious, the underworld, the ominous with humor far better by leaps and bounds of any movie in history.
Thank you, madame. Là, pour monsieur.
Waiter,
Yes, madame.
People of every nationality.
will you ask Rick if he has a drink with us?
Madame, he never drinks with customers. Never.
We learn about Rick. He never drinks with customers. He is entirely about business. We haven't even seen Rick yet. We've seen almost everybody else in this movie, but we haven't seen Rick yet.
I have never seen it.
What makes saloon-keepers so snobbish?
Perhaps if you told him I ran the second largest banking house in Amsterdam.
Second largest? That wouldn't impress Rick. The leading banker in Amsterdam is now the pastry chef in our kitchen.
It still gets me every time. But wait for it. There are 2 more lines coming up.
We have something to look forward to.
And his father is the bellboy.
What a jovial table. And Carl is exquisite. His character is so sweet and so nice. But we find out later in the movie, he's also part of the underground freedom movement. Who would think it that this Carl, this sweet Carl, with the great one-liners, so good with the customers, he is actually, freedom is so important in the world. There's such ominousness going on in the world that even sweet Carl is part of the underground. It's brilliant. Brilliant.
Madame? Monsieur. Monsieur.
And we finally meet Rick, don't we? Nope. Don't meet Rick. Again, brilliant directing. We meet his hand writing a check. Again, doesn't sit with anybody, doesn't drink with anybody. He writes his checks at the table while he's playing chess. The chessboard is a great metaphor for this movie. This is brilliant. This was actually Humphrey Bogart's idea, and Michael Curtiz went with it. And his martini glass is empty, as I can see. Okay. So who is Rick? What's he look like? Here we go. He comes across as a man who's not paying attention to anything else and has that sort of stolid, hard shell look on his face. Smoking a cigarette. He's in charge. He's nodding.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, sir. This is a private room.
A fool in there. Who do you think? I know there is gambling in there. There is no secret. You dare not keep me out of here.
Yes, what's the trouble?
These gentlemen...
I have been in every gambling room between Honolulu and Berlin. And if you think I'm going to be kept out of a saloon like this, you're very...
Notice the lighting and the construction here. Again, Michael Curtiz moves way in. This is not from 5 feet back. This is somebody looking right over the shoulder. And it's excellent acting on everybody's part here.
Much mistaken.
Excuse me, please. Hello, Rick.
The criminal Ugarte is let in right away. The humor in that, once we find out about Ugarte, if you backtrack, that's just incredibly humorous. Just walks in like Rick's friend while he says no to this imposing man.
Your cash is good at the bar.
What?
That voice, that gravelly voice and that look on his face, he's so commanding.
Do you know who I am?
I do. You're lucky the bar's open to you.
Wow.
This is outrageous. I shall report it to the Angry.
Again, the directing on this, I mean, the guy could have just said, this is outrageous, I'll report it, and walked off. Instead, he throws it in the air. Wow, just brilliant.
You know, Rick, watching you just now with the Deutsche Bank, one would think you've been doing this all your life.
What makes you think I haven't?
Brilliant again. Great one-liner. The writers on this movie do not pass up on any potential moment to write something brilliant and that says something about the character. He looks like he's been doing it forever. That's the perfect line for him. And we find out more about the way he dialogues with people.
Oh, nothing. But when you first came to Casablanca, I thought...
You thought what?
See how subservient Ugarte is? Everybody is subservient to Rick.
What right do I have to think?
Great acting.
May I? Too bad about those 2 German couriers, wasn't it?
They got a lucky break. Yesterday, there were just 2 German clerks. Today, they're on it dead.
Terrific throwaway, laconic line.
You're a very cynical person, Rick, if you forgive me for...
This is another thing. Almost everybody talks about who Rick is. He's a sentimentalist, he's cynical, whatever. Rick never talks about who he is. This is, again, brilliant writing where there's no didacticism in this movie. It is all subtle. It is all indirect to where we are not being preached to. We are finding out about this man moment after moment, and either through what he says or his actions, but about his character through other people.
Thanks.
I forgive you.
Thank you. Will you have a drink with me, please?
No.
Oh, I forgot you never drink with any... I'll have another, please. Yes, monsieur.
Driving that point home that he doesn't drink with others.
You despise me, don't you?
Well, if I gave you any thought, I probably would.
But why?
Another great line. If I gave you any thought, I probably would. That one's been quoted over and over. I use that one.
Oh, you object to the kind of business I do, huh? But think of all those poor refugees who must rot in this place if I didn't help them. Well, that's not so bad. Through ways of my own, I provide them with exit visas.
Great acting.
For a price, Ugarte. For a price.
But think of all the poor devils.
It's the first time Bogart gives a slight smile in this movie, and you get a sense that there's somebody inside that shell. Like there are people who do get close to him. This is the first moment in the movie where you get that.
You can't beat to a nose price. Oh, I get it for them for half. Is that so parasitic?
I don't mind a parasite. I object to a cut-rate one.
Yet again, what is that, 5 lines already and just so far in this scene?
Well, Rick, after tonight I'll be through with the whole business, and I'm leaving, finally, this Casablanca.
Who's applied for your visa? Reno or yourself?
Myself. Found myself much more reasonable. Look, Rick. You know what this is? Something that even you have never seen. Letters of transit signed by General Vegan. Cannot be rescinded, not even questioned. One moment. Tonight I'll be selling those for more money than even I have ever dreamed of. And then, adio Casablanca. You know, Rick, I have many a friend in Casablanca, but somehow, just because you despise me, you are the only one I trust.
Just because you despise me, you're the only one I could trust. And also, this says, again, something about Rick's character. He can be trusted. He's in charge of everything. He treats everybody with equanimity. He treats everybody the same. So he can be trusted. And also, I love the look on him. I mean, the acting in this is just extraordinary. And the character, Ugarte's character is just really intriguing.
Will you keep these for me, please?
For how long?
Oh, perhaps an hour, perhaps a little.
He looks actually a little bit worried here. I think it's the first time that happens too.
Long.
I don't want them here overnight.
Don't be afraid of that. Please keep them for me. Thank you. I knew I could trust you.
Another thing about Rick is even though he's got a hard shell, he looks everybody straight in the face when he talks.
Waiter, I'll be expecting some people. If anybody asks for me, I'll be right here. Yes, monsieur. Rick, I hope you're more impressed with me now. Huh? If you'll forgive me, I'll share my good luck with your roulette wheel.
Just a moment. Yeah, I heard a rumor those two German couriers were carrying letters of transit.
Huh? Oh, huh. I've heard that rumor too.
Huh? Oh, huh. I've heard that rumor too. He's a slimy character. He plays it to perfection. Again, the writing on this, he doesn't give us the obvious aha moment that a lot of writers would do here. Oh yes. Yes. You know, like he knows he's playing this perfectly. And it's written perfectly.
Poor devils.
Yes, you're right, Ugarte. I am a little more.
Look how squinched his mouth is, the condescension. He just finds him a disgusting, deplorable character, and yet they're friends. Rick does this in the movie. He becomes friends with the people who are outright disgusting, like Louis, the prefect.
Impressed with you.
Wow. What a blistering look. And right back into a mise en scene, we get Rick's Cafe.
Say, who's got trouble? We got trouble. How much trouble? Too much trouble. Well, now, don't you frown. Just knuckle down and knock on wood. Who's unhappy? We're unhappy. How unhappy? Too unhappy. Uh-oh.
So you got a full orchestra. Rick's Cafe has a full orchestra. It's got a great piano man. The place is jam-packed. Rick is just walking casually up to the piano, and look at the lighting in this scene. The noir in this by the director Michael Curtiz and the brilliant cinematographer Arthur Edison is just phenomenal. The lighting on this, it's sort of darkish everywhere, but there's like a spotlight with Rick and Sam.
When you are blue, just knock on wood. Who's unlucky? We're unlucky. How unlucky? Too unlucky. But your luck will change if you'll arrange to knock on wood. Who's got nothing?
He actually looks positively worried for somebody with such a stoic exterior. So we know that those letters of transit, they're dangerous. They get that across so well, subtly.
How much nothing? Too much nothing. Say nothing's not an awful lot, but knock on wood.
When Sidney Greenstreet comes in as Ferrari, this man is important. The other ones show deference towards him. And I mean, you're wondering right away, who is this guy?
Now who's happy? We're happy. Just how happy? Very happy. That's the...
Look at that look on Bogart's face. After Ferrari gives him a nice, pleasant smile, man, is that a chilly guy. I mean, a guy who just knows who he's looking at. There's no pretense in Rick. There is zero pretense. And he's admirable that way.
Way we're gonna stay, so knock on wood. Now who's lucky? We're all lucky. Just how lucky? Very lucky. Well, smile up then, and once again, let's knock on wood.
Wow. Don't you want to be in Rick's Cafe? I mean, after all the ominousness of the Casablanca, you want to be in Rick's Cafe. It's a haven.
Hello, Rick.
Hello, Ferrari. How's business at the Blue Parrot?
Fine, but I'd like to buy your cafe.
It's not for sale.
Haven't heard my offer.
It's not for sale at any price.
What do you want for Sam?
I don't buy or sell human beings.
Too bad.
So now we got another look into his character. I mean, he doesn't buy or sell human beings. Wow. I mean, this guy has got morality. That's really, we learn that really right here. Rick is a man. He may be closed off. He may be a very dominant type of person, but he's got morality, unlike Ferrari.
That's Casablanca's leading commodity.
Great line.
Refugees alone, we can make a fortune. You'd work with me through the black market.
Suppose you run your business and let me run mine.
Suppose we ask Sam. Maybe he'd like to make a change.
I like how they talk with each other like two businessmen. Terrific. And terrific directing again with the lighting and everything.
Suppose we do.
My dear Rick, when will you realize that in this world today, isolationism is no longer a practical policy?
This is it's not necessary to know this, but this movie is sort of a metaphor for the United States being an isolationist country. This movie is made right before Pearl Harbor. It's almost halfway through the war in Europe and around the world, all around the world. But America was isolationist and was called isolationist and had not entered the war yet. And Ferrari is saying it's not the best policy. Wink, wink, audience in America watching this after America is in the war.
Sam, Ferrari wants you to work for him at the Blue Parrot.
Oh, I like it fine, yeah.
You'll double what I pay you.
Yeah, but I ain't got time to spend the money I make here.
Sorry.
Okay, one thing I want to mention, another thing I want to mention about this movie is how the secondary characters who are not talking are always in character. Look at the look on Ferrari's face while Rick and Sam are talking. Watch how Ferrari watches Rick's expression.
Pay you?
Yeah, but I ain't got time to spend the money I make here.
Sorry.
Boss is private stock. Because he won, I love you.
Oh, shut up.
All right. For you, I shut up. Because he won, I love you.
God, she's gorgeous. Don't you just love Sasha? He's just a terrific character. We'll get more of him. And what is this about? We've just gone from Ferrari and Rick and Sam to yet other actors and things that are happening in Rick's. It's just this plethora, this tapestry of characters. It's just brilliant.
Oh, Mr. Rick.
Oh.
Mr. Rick. Some Germans. Boom, 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 boom. Take his check.
Boom, 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 boom. Just love that. Yet again, the writers, it's just another throwaway on this. It's just beautiful.
All right.
The way she's looking at him and approaching him, boy, you know some shit is about to go freaking down.
Where were you last night?
That's so long ago, I don't remember.
Will I see you tonight?
I never make...
Now we know yet another thing about Rick. He sleeps with beautiful women. And in some circles, that's considered, that makes him more of a man. He's a man who knows how to run his business. He knows how to treat everybody. And, well, we'll see how he treats women.
Plans that far ahead.
Give me another.
Sasha, she's had enough.
I don't make plans that far ahead. He's living day to day. That's a man who's, you could say lost, but he's not thinking ahead in his life.
Don't listen to him, Sasha. Fill it up.
He won, I love you. But he pays me.
Rick, I'm sick and tired of
Have
having
to
you.
call a cab.
Yes, boss.
Come on, we're going to get your coat.
Take your hands off
Where are you going?
See how peremptory he was there? Sasha, call a cab. Just shuts her down. Wow, this man is in charge. You know that.
Oh, you've had a little too much to drink.
Hey, taxi.
What do you think you are pushing me around? What a fool I was to fall for a man like you.
Go with us, Sasha, and be sure she gets home.
Yes, boss.
What a fool I was to fall for a man like you. Wow.
And come right back.
Yes, boss.
Okay, so that was I think the longest scene in the movie. It's just brilliant. I mean, everything about it. How fast paced was that? It was like a Gatling gun of one-liners in that 8 minutes. And it goes from ominous to just complete joy and fun. It is a place you want to be. The first time I watched this movie, I'm like, God, I wish I could be in Rick's Cafe. My God. And so it creates that envelope, that haven envelope that Rick himself has created, ironically, because he's a man who is basically without a soul anymore, or without his idealism anymore. And yet he has created this safe place for people, probably unintentionally, just did it, and hasn't created some dour joint. He's created a bon vivant place to be. So I find that quite ironic, and again, subtle by the writers and director on this movie. It is absolutely positively brilliant. This scene there wasn't a whole lot of musical score in this one. This one was mostly about individual songs that were brought into the movie. All of them, I think, terrific, knock on wood, etc. So just a brilliant, brilliant scene, and the pacing, rapid fire, boom, boom, boom. One little mise-en-scene to another mise-en-scene. Just absolute brilliance. And so the next scene is going to be with Rick and Louis, Captain Renault, the prefect, and we will find out more. In scenes 5 and 6, we've got Captain Louis Renault, the prefect of Casablanca, and Rick. And we find out here that they are best friends, best buddies. Louis ends up even calling Rick Ricky. So they are very close. It surprises us. Louis is, as we know, a murderous and a lecher, but he's incredibly charming. This relationship in this movie is so outside the box and so almost unbelievable, but it is believable. It is miraculous. It's brilliant the way it's written, and we find out more about Rick Blaine, the unfolding. And let's just watch and enjoy these two scenes play out. The lighting, that searchlight. Yeah.
Hello, Rick.
Oh, Lee.
How extravagant you are, throwing away women like that. Someday they may be scarce. I think now I shall pay a call on Yvonne. Maybe get her on the rebound, huh?
Well, when it comes to women, you're a true Democrat.
Et moi, je vous dis que l'attitude de l'Italie est immonde. Qu'est-ce que vous auriez fait sans l'armée allemande? Et la Grèce. Ce pauvre petit pays de Grèce, mon cher.
Okay, I just want to just remark real quick on what Rick said about, or what Louis said about Rick. When it comes to women, you're a true Democrat. Yet another great line. And I just love this whole hitting again with the Italians who won't stop talking.
He gets a word and it'll be a major Italian victory. The plane to Lisbon.
And bringing that in. Can't have just a conversation. Many times there's something else going on. Freedom, again, comes into the picture. And Rick is staring right at it.
You would like to be on it.
Wow, that look on his face. Let me back that up. Look at that look on his face. That's a longing look. There's something going on there. When you see that, there's something going on. Brilliant, brilliant directing. And that close-up and the lighting, half of his face shaded a little bit because he's still a half character to us. We don't know him. This is film noir at its best.
You would like to be on it.
Why? What's in Lisbon?
clipper to America. I've often speculated on why you don't return to America. Did you abscond with the church?
I love how he moves in on Rick here to probe and try to penetrate that hard shell with his sort of smug smirk. Did you abscond with the church funds?
Funds? Did you run off with the senator's wife? I like to think that you killed a man. It's the romantic in me.
It's one of my favorite lines in the movie. And boy, does it say a bunch about Louis, right? But Rick is a mystery.
It's a combination of all three.
And what in heaven's name brought you to Casablanca?
My health. I came to Casablanca for the waters.
The waters? What waters? We're in the desert.
I was misinformed.
Just love the laconic sarcasm in this. Exquisite line. The writers didn't have to write this well. This is highly unusual for a movie. Staccato one-liners over and over that say something about the character or the characters each time.
Excuse me, Monsieur Rick, but the gentleman inside has won 20,000.
Watch how gentle Rick is with his employee. We find out just how fair Rick is, what kind of a man he is. Beneath that hard shell, again, is that morality, that niceness, benevolence even.
In France, and the cashier would like some money.
I'll get it from the safe.
I'm so upset, Monsieur Rick. You know, I
Forget
can't
it, Emile.
understand.
Things like that happen all the time.
I'm awfully sorry.
Wow. Back to the cafe, a little...
Rick, there's going to be some excitement here tonight. We're going to make an arrest in your cafe.
Again?
Oh, this is no ordinary arrest. A murderer, no less. If you're thinking of warning him, don't put yourself out. He cannot possibly escape.
Okay, this is interesting. He's about to say his famous line, I stick my neck out for no one. But again, with the directing on this and the directions to the actors, watch the third man behind them, walking behind them, Emile. Watch how Emile listens to them and then looks over at Ugarte, who they're implying in this. But watch how he stays in character throughout this. It's brilliant.
And here tonight, we're going to make an arrest in your cafe.
Again?
Oh, this is no ordinary arrest. A murderer, no less. If you're thinking of warning him, don't put yourself out. He cannot possibly escape.
I stick my neck out for nobody.
A wise foreign policy.
So we learn about Rick again. He's magnanimous. He has equanimity. He treats everybody exactly the same, but he sticks his neck out for nobody. He's in this. He's in everything for himself. This is the place he's at. This is the picture that's painted for us.
La Tunisie, Nice, qu'est-ce que vous avez fait pour les avoir?
I made this arrest earlier in the evening at the Blue Feather. Out of my high regard for you, we're staging it here. It will amuse your customers.
My high regard for you, we're stating it here.
Our entertainment's enough.
Rick, we're to have an important guest here tonight. Major Strasser, of the Third Reich, no less. We want him to be here when we make the arrest. A little demonstration of the efficiency of my administration.
I see. And what's Strasser doing here? He certainly didn't come all the way.
Look at this film noir, folks. Cigarette, it's a silhouette. Brilliant. How did Kurt Heese think about these things? Really. He's still a shadowy character for us. A sort of almost ominous character. Not ominous, but he's in charge all the time. And so we're not allowed to see him. We're going to see the shadow that is Rick. This is brilliant film noir directing right here. And from below, look how we're seeing everything from below as if this is bigger than life.
Way to Casablanca to witness a demonstration of your efficiency.
Perhaps not.
Here you are.
It shall not happen again.
That's all right. Louis, you got something on your mind. Why don't you spill it?
I love Rick's delivery, Humphrey Bogart's delivery. Louis, you got something on your mind. Why don't you deliver it or say it or whatever. Beautiful. Just his voice is almost monotone in a gravelly way.
How observant you are. As a matter of fact, I wanted to give you a word of advice.
Yeah? Yeah, Brandy?
Thank you.
Brandy?
Rick, there are many exit visas sold in this cafe, but we know that you never sold one. That is the reason we permit you to remain open.
Well, I thought it was because I let you win at roulette.
That is another reason. There is a man arrived in Casablanca on his way to America.
Don't you love Louis? You hate to love this guy. That little look he gave with the eyebrow going up and the little smirk. Let's watch that again. Look at that.
That is another reason. There is a man arrived in Casablanca on his way to America. He will offer a fortune to anyone who'll furnish him with an exit visa.
What's his name?
Victor Laszlo.
Victor Laszlo.
Rick, that is the first time I've ever seen you so impressed.
And it's the first time we have ever seen Rick impressed. Yet again, now we are seeing another side of his personality. And you suspect at this point, this is the first time you truly suspect that Rick still has that idealism in him. I mean, if he were truly a complete cynic, he would have just said something like, so what? Let him come. But he doesn't say that. He gives him his due. So this is the first time you get a sense that there's a bigger character hiding deep inside Rick.
Well, he succeeded in impressing half the world.
It's my duty to see that he doesn't impress the other half.
Great line.
Laszlo must never reach America. He stays in Casablanca.
It'll be interesting to see how he manages.
Manages what?
His escape?
Oh, but I've just told you.
I just told you.
The concentration camp, the Nazis have been chasing him all over Europe.
This is the end of the chase.
I like how they talk like a couple of adult male buddies. Stop it. Their friendship is authentic. It reeks of authenticity. And just the way Louis is looking at him here. I mean, what? I tell you, this is one of the best friendships in movie history. And it's so ironic since one of these people is completely corrupt, or at least we think he is.
20,000 francs says it isn't.
Is that a serious offer?
I just paid out 20. I'd like to get it back.
Make it 10. I'm only a poor, corrupt official.
Yet again, I'm only a poor, corrupt official.
Okay, done. No matter how clever he is, he still needs an exit visa. Or I should say 2.
Why 2?
He is traveling with a lady.
I'll take 1.
I think not. I've seen the lady. And if he did not leave her in Marseille or in Iran, he certainly won't leave her in Casablanca.
Well, maybe he's not quite as romantic as you are.
It doesn't matter. There is no exit visa for him.
Louis, whatever gave you the impression that I might be interested in helping Laszlo escape?
Because, my dear Ricky, I suspect...
And here we go. We got somebody about to tell us more about Rick. Because Rick's not going to tell us. He's a rank sentimentalist or a sentimentalist at heart. And what Rick has done to prove that he used to be an idealist. So more unfolding.
I suspect that under that cynical shell, you're at heart a sentimentalist. Oh, laugh if you will, but I happen to be familiar with your record. Let me point out just 2 items. In 1935, you ran guns to Ethiopia. In 1936, you fought in Spain on the Loyalists.
Isn't this brilliant acting, folks? The way he's staring Rick down and giving him the facts. Brilliant acting.
I got well paid for it on both occasions.
He's being so nonchalant, acting like it didn't mean anything. Throwing it off. Still keeping that exterior.
The winning side would have paid you much better.
Maybe. Well, it seems that you're determined to keep Laszlo here.
I have my orders.
Oh, I see. Gestapo spank.
My dear Ricky, you overestimate the influence of the Gestapo.
Gestapo spank. Love that line.
I don't interfere with them. And they don't interfere with me. In Casablanca, I am master of my fate. I am
Major Strasser's here, sir.
You were saying...
Excuse me.
The timing on that? Again, Michael Curtiz, the director. The man truly interrupts Louis in mid-sentence. Let's watch that again. It's brilliant. I mean, I'm shocked. I was shocked. Here we go. Watch the timing on this.
Wait. I am
Major Strasser's here, sir.
You were saying...
Excuse me.
Brilliant. And Humphrey Bogart's a little smirk there, but there's concern on his face at the very end. Yet again, a nuance, the subtlety in this movie. Watch this. At the very end here. Look at that. Do you see that look? I'm going to back it up to that look. Look at that. the tension in his mouth and in his brows, something is bothering him. This is so quick. I did not see it in the first 10 viewings. The look on his face here. There's no lost second in this movie. That's why it's the greatest movie of all time. It's one of the reasons why. That right there, look at that. That tells us what the hell is causing Rick Blaine, who's always in charge, always in control, always in command. Why is he clenching his teeth after being told about Laszlo coming to town? Wow. More peaks, more unfolding. It is just got me enraptured by this point. Okay, so that's those two scenes. And then obviously the coming scene is the arrest of Ugarte in front of the Nazis and how all of that plays out. So I'll take a look at that scene next. But as we can see, Rick has become an entirely intriguing, compelling character. You just can't wait to find out what you're going to find out next about Rick Blaine at Rick's Cafe Americain. Okay, we'll get up to the next one. Scene 7 of Casablanca is fascinating. It's the arrest of Ugarte for stealing the letters of transit and murdering the 2 German couriers. Rick knows about this, but Rick didn't say anything because Rick not only doesn't stick his neck out for anybody, but he doesn't get involved in their business unless their business interferes with his business. So that about his personality has been clear. There are only 3 or what could be considered to be action sequences in Casablanca. The murdering of the man in the streets who wouldn't give up his identity papers, and this scene with Ugarte, and then of course the killing of Major Strasser by Rick at the end of the movie. Those, the first and third ones, are very, very brief. This is the only extended action sequence in all of Casablanca. Excuse me. That says something about the movie itself. This is not an action movie, obviously. This is a dialogue movie, a character movie. The atmosphere lets us know who people are. In dangerous circumstances, we find out the crux of people's personalities. What was it Sun Yu said about causing pain or causing extreme circumstances, then you find out who the real person is underneath. Something like that. That is Casablanca. That's what Casablanca is about. Secondarily, it's primarily the redemption of Rick. So another great thing about this scene, like all the other scenes, is it points to Rick. How will Rick respond during and after the Ugarte arrest? Not only him, but a couple of the secondary characters, including Captain Renault and Strasser. So let's see how this plays out.
See that Major Strasser gets a good table, one close to the ladies.
I have already given him the best, knowing he's German and will take it anyway.
The Germans don't fare well in this, do they? Good.
Take him quietly, 2 guards at every door. Yes, sir.
Look at that look on Louis's face. This is the first time we've seen that look on Louis's face. There's a bunch of firsts in this movie. But right here, we found out that when Louis, the murderer and lecher that is behind the fabulous, charismatic personality, jovial personality of Louis, is always there. There it is.
Everything is ready, sir.
Rick strolls down.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Captain.
Want to join us?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here, Major.
Watch how Strasser follows Louis as he's sitting down. This is another thing I was talking about a while ago. The other characters are always in character in this movie. It is flawless that way. Watch this.
It's a pleasure to have you here, Major.
Champagne and a tin of caviar.
May I recommend Veuve Clicquot, 26, a good French wine?
Thank you.
Very well, sir.
Very interesting club.
Especially so tonight, Major.
Strasser has such a weaselly, commanding voice. His voice is perfect for this. If you want to really make the Germans look like vermin conquerors, boy, his voice does that. It's brilliant.
In a few minutes, you'll see the arrest of the man who murdered your couriers.
I expected no less, Captain.
Expecting less.
La partie continue.
Yes?
Will you please come with us?
Certainly.
His acting, God, and his voice.
Incident est clos, madame.
May I first please?
And that directing, look at this, how close again. And everybody behind is watching. Everybody's in character.
Kiss my chips.
L'incident est clos, madame. La partie continue. Faites vos jeux, messieurs, mesdames. Marquons les jeux. La partie continue. Les jeux...
And the game goes on while there's an arrest happening. In Rick's.
Pretty lucky, huh? 2,000, please. 2,000.
You ain't getting out, Ugarte. First time I watched this, I wondered what the hell he was going to do. He was surrounded. It's interesting.
Rick, help me.
Be a fool, you can't get away.
Rick, help me. Do something. You must help me, Rick. Do something. Rick! Rick!
I want to stop it real quick. Don't be a fool. You can't get away, Ugarte. He's right. He's not going to stick his neck out, which is what he's about to say.
Excellent, Captain.
When they come to get me, Rick, I hope you'll be more of a help.
I'd stick my neck out for nobody. I'm sorry there was a disturbance, folks, but it's all...
Watch what he does with the glass, how much in control he is. All of this has happened. The shooting, the killing of the officers. Just says he's not going to stick his neck out. Some idiot gets in his face like he could do anything different. And he upturns and overturned glass here. This is brilliant directing. Look how much lighting there is in this place. You can see everybody's face. Watch this.
Over now, everything's all right. Just sit down and have a good time. Enjoy yourselves, all right, Sam? Okay.
All right, Sam. And right like that, everything's back to normal in Rick's. Brilliant.
Rick, this is Major Heinrich Strasser of the Third Reich.
How do you do, Mr. Rick?
How do you do?
And you already know Herr Heinz of the Third Reich?
Please join us, Mr. Rick.
Casual.
We are very honored tonight, Rick. Major Strasser is one of the reasons the Third Reich enjoys the reputation it has today.
You repeat Third Reich as though you expected there to be others.
Again, in threes. As he was sitting down, he introduced the two men as the Third Reich, Strasser and the other gentleman of the Third Reich, of the Third Reich. And then he says, Third Reich again, 3 times. This movie does this, as I said earlier, over and over and over, punctuating points, but doing it so mellifluously, so fluidly.
Well, personally, Major, I will take what comes.
Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? Unofficially, of course.
Make it official if you like.
What is your nationality?
I'm a drunkard.
One of the most quotable lines in history. Look at Strasser, look at him.
And that makes Rick a citizen of the world.
I think that's the only time in the whole movie that Strasser laughs. He actually thinks it's funny. Rick, with his sense of casual, blithe sense of humor, can make Strasser laugh. Here we go.
And that makes Rick a citizen of the world.
I was born in New York City, if that'll help you any.
I understand that you came here from Paris at the time of the occupation.
There seems to be no secret about that.
Are you one of those people who cannot imagine that?
Look at Strasser. Rick was able to make him relax. I mean, obviously, Ugarte just got killed, so he's going to be a little bit relaxed by that. But he wasn't real relaxed when Louis was sitting down. He was still tense. But Rick, just like his cafe, has made this table a haven for laughter and fun. That's his personality, because he's so in command of everything.
The Germans and their beloved Paris.
Not particularly my beloved Paris.
Can you imagine us in London?
When you get there, ask me.
Wow. Wow. Yes, another great line.
Oh, diplomatist.
How about New York?
Well, there are certain sections of New York, Major, that I wouldn't advise you to try to invade.
Gorgeous.
Who do you think will win the war?
How about that writing, folks? I mean, one after another. I'm a drunkard. It's not my beloved Paris, but it is his beloved Paris. Well, when you get to London, let me know. There are certain parts of New York, just over and over, the one-liners. And it fits his personality. And it tells us how easy and casual he is, even under the threat of the German officer.
I haven't the slightest idea.
Rick is completely neutral about everything, and that takes in the field of women, too.
You are not always so carefully neutral. We have a complete dossier on you.
Look how close the camera gets again. I mean, this movie, since it's not about action, it's about characters. We are constantly right in the faces of the characters, as if we're sitting at the table or even in the middle of the table. I love that.
Richard Blaine, American, age 37, cannot return to his country. The reason is a little vague. We also know what you did in Paris, Mr. Blaine, and also we know why you left Paris.
This is the first time we've heard that he can't return to America. You know? And so that adds mystery to this. Why the hell? That's never answered. We never know why. Did he kill someone? As Louis said earlier, it's the romantic in him that hopes he did. We don't know.
Don't worry, we are not going to broadcast it.
Oh, my eye's really brown.
You will forgive my curiosity, Mr. Blaine. The point is, an enemy of the Reich has come to Casablanca, and we are checking up on anybody who can be of any help to us.
Well, my interest in whether Victor Laszlo stays or goes is purely a sporting one.
In this...
I like how, again, this shows characters. Strasser is beating around the bush, and Rick goes right to the point, knows they're talking about Laszlo, and just freely says it. His candid character. And again, Strasser's snake-like voice. Wow.
Case, you have no sympathy for the fox, huh?
Not particularly. I understand the point of view of the hound, too.
Victor Laszlo published the foulest lies in the Prague newspapers until the very day we marched in, and even after that, he continued to print scandal sheets in his cellar.
Again, the writing, doing it from the perspective, what would a German say about Laszlo? Laszlo is a hero of the First Order. What would he say? Printed lies. They weren't lies, of course. And then he continued to do so when he was in hiding. The rationalism was captured by the writers of this. Brilliant, brilliant writing. And the directing on this is stupid good.
Of course, one must admit he has great courage.
I admit he is very clever. 3 times he slipped through our fingers. In Paris, he continued his activities. We intend not to let it happen again.
Hey, excuse me, gentlemen. Your business is politics. Mine is running a saloon.
Good evening, Mr. Blaine.
I love that dismissive way he said saloon, running a saloon. Let's listen to that again. And he stands up, peremptorily stands up. And these are supposed to be the people in charge. Stands up and goes about his business. Guy's got brass ones.
Hey, excuse me, gentlemen. Your business is politics. Mine is running a saloon.
Good evening, Mr. Blaine.
Good evening, Mr. Blaine.
See, Major, you have nothing to worry about, Rick.
Perhaps.
Yes, monsieur.
All right, so in walks trouble in the form of one of the most beautiful women in the world ever. So we'll get to that in in the next scene, which will be scene 9. That was scene 7 and 8. The Ugarte capture and arrest, and then them at the table. I'm calling that scene 7 and 8. This will be scene 9 coming up. And of course, it's the big one, and one of the biggest ones in the movie. This changes the movie, the one that's coming up. And so I'll be talking about that in a minute. But how about all in scene 7 and 8 that we just saw, how about all the one-liners in that? Brilliant evocation and a brilliant evolution of character with Rick. And again, he says he's now said twice he doesn't stick his neck out for anyone, and he doesn't. But we're starting to see a more amiable kind of guy. His confidence and control and command has an amiability about it. So his character is starting to round out, and it's fascinating. And so at about 21 minutes into the movie, in walks Ilsa and Laszlo, and then the movie really takes off. If you haven't thought it had by then, it does then. So we'll get around to that here in a minute. All right. If Casablanca were a Shakespeare play, well, this would be Act 2, I think. You got 2 storms walking in the door. that are headed directly for Rick. In a Shakespeare play, second act obviously is where the story gets more complex, more developed, more interesting. The drama gets more complex, thicker, heated up. The characters start suffering a little bit under the weight of what's happening. Decisions either have to be made or avoided. That is exactly what happens in Casablanca right here with Ilsa and Laszlo entering the Rick's Cafe Americain. And boy, what a scene it is. I mean, the unflappable up to this point, the movie has been really interesting, really intriguing. You've got the threat of war, the threat of corrupt officials, or the German Strasser and what he can do and the kind of power that he exhibits. And then you have the calm in the middle of the storm, in the middle of the crucible. You've got Rick, but there's cracks in Rick's character. He's not completely a shell. We're finding that he's actually a very interesting character. He's friends with the corrupt prefect, Louis, who is also dangerous. And he handles everybody with equanimity, no matter who they are, officials or people who work for him, everything. But the Rick character is starting to show nuances, and it's really interesting. And so by the end of Act 8, previously, you're really intrigued and you're wanting to know what's going to happen, but you're not expecting this to happen. And it's part of what makes Casablanca great. One thing I like about the directing on this right off the bat is the director, Michael Curtiz, has the two actors walking in with already in character. So you've got her, Ilsa, with a sort of benign look on her face, like I'm doing what I need to be doing and I'm just going to experience this place. And you've got Laszlo already wary, a little bit leery, checking out the landscape, seeing what's going on. Of course, first-time viewers don't have an idea of who these people are, but this is just a 1-second little entrance here, a quick look, and they're already in character. It's really impressive. Everything in this movie is great. The lighting is fantastic right here. So let's get going and just flesh out this extraordinary scene 9 in Casablanca. So here we go.
Yes, monsieur. I reserve the table. Victor Laszlo.
Yes, Monsieur Laszlo. Right this way.
You see that look? Wow, love that. Yeah. So already now we're like, what the hell just happened? We're less than 30 seconds into this scene, and she's worried. Sam is worried. I mean, seriously worried. And to this point, all Sam has been is fun. Wow. This movie is so fantastic the way it's done. It's so subtle. It just it leaves you in mysterious circumstances all the time. You're like, what the hell? What the hell just happened? What's going on here? Perfection. Wow, what a look. Oh, shook his head. Wow. The implications of that. It's fantastic. You notice the lighting on that? Look at that leaf lighting behind them. Exquisite.
That's so no one forgot his description.
So he's just mentioned Ugarte. And so now, of course, we know that he's there, they're there to potentially get the letters of transit. But Rick has those. And something I was going to mention at the beginning of this, but I forgot, was that Rick supposedly sticks his neck out for no one. He likes to keep everything calm. Yet he agreed to take those letters of transit from Ugarte, which frankly surprised me. First time I watch it, it surprises me every time. It's like, those are the two most dangerous documents in Casablanca. And you're hiding those documents? I mean, that's a man potentially getting involved. It's one of those cracks, one of those clues into his character.
Victor, I feel somehow we shouldn't stay here.
If you would walk out so soon, it would only call attention to us. That's Bugatti in some other part of the cafe.
Excuse me, but you look like a couple who are on their way to America.
Well?
You'll find a market there for this ring. I'm forced to sell it at a great sacrifice.
Thank you, but I hardly think.
Then perhaps for the lady, the ring is quite unique.
Oh, yes, I'm very interested. Good.
Great acting.
What is your name?
Berger, Norwegian, and at your service, sir.
Victor.
I'll meet you in a few minutes at the bar. No, I don't think we want to buy the ring, but thank you for showing it to us.
Such a bargain. But that is your decision?
I'm sorry it is.
Love the look on Louis. Love the look on Louis's face while he just stood there with that sort of smug, comfortable, confident look.
No?
Yes?
I'm Captain Renault, Prefect of Police.
Yes, what does you want?
Merely to welcome you to Casablanca and to wish you a pleasant stay. It isn't often we have so distinguished a visitor.
Thank you.
Like how you said distinguished, almost with an acid tongue. Distinguished.
I hope you'll forgive me, Captain. The present French administration hasn't always been so cordial. May I present Miss Ilzalant?
I was informed you were the most beautiful woman ever to visit Casablanca. That was a gross understatement.
And God, is she ever, too. But I love that. The writing, again, the writing in this is just stupendous. It was a gross understatement. I've used that many times myself. It's corny. I love it.
You're very kind.
God, she's gorgeous.
Whew,
the lighting.
Emil, please, a bottle of your best champagne and put it on my bill.
Very well, sir.
Captain, please.
Oh, please, monsieur. It is a little game we play. They put it on the bill, I tear up the bill. It is very convenient.
Poor corrupt official.
Captain, the boy was playing the piano.
This makes me cringe every time. Of course, this was made in 1942, early 1942. And still, unfortunately, we're Caucasians called black people boys. She doesn't mean it that way. Of course, she's not being, it's a condescension that was expected, but it doesn't take away from the quality of the movie.
Somewhere I've seen him.
Her look.
Yes.
He came from Paris with Rick.
Rick, who's he?
This has always surprised me, that disingenuous look on her face. She knows who Rick is. But I guess she's just confirming here, because she knows Sam. She knows that he and Rick, she calls him Richard later. But so this just always kind of surprises me. It's just like, does she really not know? Is she checking?
Mademoiselle, you're in Rick's. And Rick is,
Is what?
Well, Mademoiselle, he's
One of the greatest lines ever coming up.
the kind of man that, well, if I were a woman and I were not around, I should be in love with Rick. But what a fool I am, talking to a beautiful woman about another man.
God, she's gorgeous. Oh my God, I just can't get over her. The lighting on her is always stupendous. That soft lighting. Ingrid is just one of the most beautiful. But anyway, I just want to comment real quickly on what he said. This isn't some sort of gay thing that the writers were writing in here. Back in the day, it was okay for confident men to say something like that. So I just want to put that to rest. I don't think that was intended in this. What the intention is to tell us more about Rick, to flesh out his character. There's so much more to Rick that a corrupt, villainous man, said that if he were a woman, he would be in love with him. So right off the bat, you're like, what the hell is going on here? And you're starting to suspect that maybe she and Rick had something going on. So you're thinking Rick now is potentially a lovable character. Again, fleshing, Rick is the center of this. Everything points to Rick.
Excuse me. Major. Mademoiselle Lund and Monsieur Leslie, may I present Major Heinrich Strasser?
How do you do?
Laszlo stood up for the prefect. He's not standing up for the German. I love that. Everything stays in character.
This is a pleasure I have long looked forward to.
I'm sure you'll excuse me if I'm not gracious. But you see, Major Strasser, I'm a Czechoslovakian.
You were Czechoslovakian. Now you are a subject of the German Reich.
This is another thing that Casablanca does great. Many times in this movie, there is no background music. And it's especially during the tense times like this. A tense altercation, and it's just simply the dialogue. This movie is spare, and it always does the right thing.
I've never accepted that privilege, and I'm now on French soil.
I should like to discuss some matters arising from your presence on French.
Notice how both of their heads are cocked back a little bit in contempt of each other. Brilliant. Brilliant directing, brilliant acting.
Sorry. This is hardly the time or the place.
Then we shall state another time and another place tomorrow at 10 in the prefect's office. With mademoiselle.
Captain Renault, I'm under your authority.
Watch Strasser's facial expressions as this goes down between Renault and Laszlo. It's exquisite acting again, exquisite directing.
Is it your order that we come to your office?
Let us say it is my request. That is a much more pleasant word.
Beautiful.
Very well.
Mademoiselle?
Mademoiselle.
Mademoiselle.
A very clever tactical retreat, Major.
This time they really mean to stop me.
Victor, I'm afraid for you.
We've been in difficult places before, haven't we?
I love how that whole scene really adds to the tension of this whole thing. I mean, you've got a guy hunted by the war power, and he is ostensibly safe, but maybe not so much. And I love the mystery of that. I don't know if you notice, but while she's singing, this adds ambiance to Rick's Cafe. This is what Rick does. He treats his customers, but watch what Sam does when she's singing. He looks back at Ilsa. Watch this. You can see him there. Right here is where he's about to do it. Still concerned. Lovely. Tension. Tension.
I must find out what Berger knows.
Be careful.
I will. Don't worry.
Something is on Ilsa's mind. What the hell is it, you're wondering as a first-time viewer?
Monsieur Berger, the ring. Could I see it again?
Yes, monsieur.
Champagne cocktail, please.
I recognize you from the news photographs, Monsieur Laszlo.
The concentration camp one is up to lose a little weight.
Lovely line.
I read 5 times that you were killed in 5 different places.
As you see, it was true every single time. Thank heaven I found you, Berger. I'm looking for a man by the name of Ugarte. He's supposed to help me.
Ugarte cannot even help himself, monsieur. He's under arrest for murder. He was arrested here tonight.
I see.
But we who are still free will do all we can. They are organized, monsieur, underground like everywhere else. Tomorrow night there's a meeting at the Cabin du Roi.
This is fantastic acting and fantastic lighting going on here. And I mean, what's his name? Paul Heinrich? I mean, the acting on his face is just fantastic. Dealing with the repercussions of his potential safe leaving escape of Casablanca. And now he's having to rummage through what he's going to do next. Just fantastic.
If you will come,
Music played in the background during this entire tense scene. Wonderful.
Could you ask the piano player to come over here, please?
Very well, mademoiselle.
Never get tired of looking at her face.
How's the jewelry business, Berger?
Not so good. May I have my check, please?
Too bad you weren't here earlier, Monsieur Laszlo. We had quite a bit of excitement this evening, didn't we, Berger?
Yes. Excuse me, John.
My bill.
No. 2 champagne cocktails, please.
Yes.
Notice when Laszlo looked around and Louis was watching Laszlo the entire time. Louis knows what's going on. He's not stupid. Watch this.
Yes.
Hello, Sam.
Hello, Miss Elsa.
Great acting.
I never expect to see you again.
It's been a long time.
Yes, ma'am. A lot of water under the bridge.
Some of the old songs, Sam.
Yes, ma'am.
So at this point, we obviously know they knew each other. They really like each other. There must have been some good times at one point, but we're not sure yet that Rick is the centerpiece of this. We suspect. That look on her face.
Where is Rick?
Now we
I don't
know.
know. I ain't seen him all night.
When will he be back?
Not tonight no more. He ain't coming. He went home.
Does he always leave so early?
Oh, he never. Well, he's got a girl up to the Blue Parrot. Goes up there all the time.
You used to be a much better liar, sir.
Just love the look on her face while she's nicely interrogating Sam. This is the only line in the whole movie that I don't think was well written. You used to be a better liar, Sam. We know what she means, and we know it's innocuous. What she really means, I think, is you're not a very good liar, Sam. But of course, they're giving some past tense to this. You've never been a good liar, Sam. Would have been a better line here. Instead of you used to be a better liar. In other words, he used to lie. Okay, so anyway, it's a small thing. Doesn't take away from the movie because we know what she means. Just saying.
Leave him alone, Miss Elsa.
Wow.
You bad luck to him.
Wow. Okay, so at this point, now, again, the mystery is even deeper. She is bad luck. And it seems pretty obvious now that she and Rick were a thing. But she was bad luck? What the hell does that mean? Wow, that's huge.
Play it once, Sam. For all time's sake.
I don't know what you mean, Miss
Love
Elsa.
her voice, too.
Play it, Sam. Play as time goes by.
Oh, I can't remember it, Miss Elsa. I'm a little rusty on it.
I'll hum it for you.
He's lying again. A face that could launch 1,000 ships, folks. Goodness gracious. I just think it's also interesting that they chose the song As Time Goes By because that's what this movie is about. It's about time going by, right? And what happens?
Sing it, Sam.
Sing it, Sam.
You must remember this.
I like the fact that she says, sing it, Sam. It shows her directness, and there's some steel in her character. This is the first time you really get a sense that she's got steel in her character. She doesn't say, please sing it. She says, sing it, Sam. I remember the first time I watched this, I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty direct. It's good.
Kiss is just a kiss. A sigh is just a sigh. The fundamental things apply.
So right here, right at this point, we know that Ilsa and Rick were in love. And so the mystery is huge.
As time goes by.
Wow. 10 seconds.
And when to love.
Phenomenal directing. I mean, how do you get home love? How do you drive home the fact that somebody was in love? Show the despondency on her face for 10 seconds. That's how long Curtiz stays on her face. Of course, it's a face that could launch 1,000 ships, but he knows what he's doing. Incredible directing, incredible acting.
They still say I love you. On that you can rely.
You like the irony of that line? They still say I love you. On that you can rely. And we know that that wasn't the case. This is a great scene coming up.
No matter what the future brings as time goes by.
Okay, I just want to say, as this happens, first of all, this is the first time you've seen Rick upset, like truly upset, as he's walking up. But watch his face. The acting is phenomenal. At first, completely gobsmacked. And it's the first time we've ever seen Rick that way. And it's so intriguing because he's unflappable. And then right after he's gobsmacked, he is ice cold. Angry, ice cold. And the acting right there in that half second is phenomenal.
Sam, I thought I told you never to play.
Wow. Sam gets out.
Well, you were asking about Rick, and here he is. Mademoiselle, may I present...
Well, sir.
They didn't even linger on that. It was a huge gobsmack moment. And they don't linger. This movie crackles. It never lingers. Bam, you get it, you move on, and you're sitting there gobsmacked. And now they have to act, and they do, like nonchalant, like it never happened. Brilliant. Brilliant. But I love the look on Laszlo's face here. Look at him, look at Rick. Like, who the hell are you?
Hello, Rick.
Oh, you've already met Rick, mademoiselle.
And look at him, look at Ilsa. He knows. He knows something's going on. First time I saw this, I thought Laszlo was clueless until later. But he knows. Brilliant acting again. And it's not focused on him. The conversation is between Louis and Ilsa. But you have to be perspicacious in this movie.
Well, then perhaps you also...
This is Mr. Laszlo.
How do you do? How do you do? One hears a great deal about Rick in Casablanca. And about Victor Laszlo everywhere. Won't you join us for a drink?
Oh, no, Rick.
No,
Never.
thanks, I will.
Well, a precedent is being broken. Emile?
And so again, great moment. A precedent indeed is being broken with Rick. He never breaks precedent.
This is a very interesting cafe. I congratulate you.
I congratulate you.
What for?
Your work?
Thank you.
I try. We all try. You succeed.
I can't get over you two. She was...
We all try. You succeed. Has he complimented anybody before this in the movie? I don't think so.
I was asking about you earlier, Rick, in a way that made me extremely jealous.
I wasn't sure you were the same. Let's see, the last time we met.
It was La Belle Aurore.
How nice, you remembered. But of course that was the day the Germans marched into Paris.
Not an easy day to forget. I remember every detail. The Germans wore gray, you wore blue.
Great line.
Yes, I put that dress away. When the Germans march out, I'll wear it again.
Ricky, you're becoming quite human. I suppose we have to thank you for that, mademoiselle.
Ilse, I don't wish to be the one to say it, but it's late.
So it is. And we have a curfew here in Casablanca. It would never do for the chief of police to be found drinking after hours and have to fine himself.
I hope he knows.
You see that furtive look that Ilsa gave while Laszlo and Louis are talking? She looks over at Rick. Watch.
It would never do for the chief of police to be found drinking after hours and have to fine himself.
I hope he knows they are
Wow.
welcome.
Not at all.
Your check, sir.
Oh, let me
My
please.
party.
Another president gone. This has been a very interesting evening. I'll call you a cab. Gasoline rationing, time of night.
He'll come again.
Anytime.
You say goodnight to Sam for me.
I will.
There's still nobody in the world who can play as time goes by like Sam.
He hasn't played it in a long time.
Good night.
Good night.
Right?
Wow, that look on his face. It's the first time in the movie we've seen Rick look like that. He's actually affected. The shell is broken. And so we know that he can't always be unflappable. And I tell you, the unraveling, the unfolding of Rick's character, of course, is what this movie is about. His redemption of himself is what this is about. And it truly begins in earnest right here.
Very puzzling fellow, this Rick. What sort is he?
Oh, I really can't say, though. I saw him quite often in Paris.
Tomorrow at 10 at the prefect office.
We'll be there.
Good night.
Good night.
Look at this look on Louis'. Look at that look on Louis' face. Up until this point, we've never seen him look quite like that. That's the prefect. That's the official. That's both worry and determination. It's just this brief little scene here tells us more about Louis, about what kind of soul he's got. It's gorgeous. Again, Michael Curtiz. It's just brilliant directing. Perfection. searchlights. Love how they do that. All right, so this next scene obviously will be scene 10. We'll get into that, all the gin joints and all the towns in all the world, and we find out just how deep that love was. And then after that, we'll go into the flashback of Paris and find out more about Ilsa and Rick and his character being fleshed out. All right. Scene 10 with Rick and Sam takes us on a deep dive into Rick's character. He goes from being the hard-shelled, aloof tavern owner, the unflappable, to a man that we know now, that we're about to learn, it was completely and utterly in love. And the way we learn about that is through his pain from what happened. So we know that he is capable of intense love, which is a huge surprise. And then we also learned that he's got a best buddy. Sam is his best buddy. They go fishing together. They get drunk together. And so two big things we learn about his character. He's not really this hard-shell guy, or he is, but he's got something underneath. It's just a fascinating character portrayal. This movie is the greatest at unraveling a character. And so we're going to see some of that here. It's one of the most famous scenes, obviously, in Casablanca, with one of the most famous lines, gin joints, and all of that. But the acting on this, the lighting on this is exquisite. So here we go. And this is right after the whole tavern scene. So I mean, just, again, the crackling pace on this movie. Bam! Wow. See how that camera moved out by Michael Curtiz? In close, pulls out, gives us the whole scene. Exquisite noir lighting here. Little angularity with the lighting and everything else. And Sam's about to come up, his silhouette through the window. Exquisite directing. And cinematography also.
Boss?
Boss.
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 Boss, ain't you going to bed?
Not right now.
Ain't you planning on going to bed in the near future?
No.
You ever going to bed?
Those are friends talking. I just love that. You going to bed? You ever going to bed? You're going to bed in the future? This is just great. Great lines that Sam has got here.
No.
Wow.
I ain't sleepy either.
Good. Have a drink.
No, not me, boss.
I'll have a drink.
Boss, let's get out of here.
No, sir. I'm waiting for a lady.
Please, boss, let's go.
Wow.
Ain't nothing but trouble for you here.
Coming back? I know she's coming back.
We'll take the car and drive all night. We'll get drunk. We'll go fishing and stay away until she's gone.
Shut up and go home, will you?
Look at the lighting on Bogart's face. It's brilliant. Half lit, half dark. That's his character at this point. He's half lit, half dark. I mean, for us as well.
No, sir. I'm staying right here.
I grab Bugatti, then she walks in. Well, that's the way it goes. One in, one out.
Wow.
Sam.
Yes, boss.
It's December 1941 in Casablanca. What time is it in New York?
So this movie was made after Pearl Harbor, when America stopped being isolationist and entered the war, but it's set in the week before Pearl Harbor. And so you don't have to, in the future, 200 years from now, they don't have to know that. But that's a little side thing on this. This movie is sort of a metaphor for what's going on, what happened in America. But you don't have to know that. It's interesting, though. But I think it's interesting also that his mind goes back to New York, back to America. We don't know why he left and what the mysterious circumstances are. We don't even know how he met Sam. They don't clarify any of that. We don't need to know, frankly. It adds to the mystery.
What? My wife stopped.
He lied again.
Sleep in New York. I bet they're asleep all over America. Of all joints in all the towns in all the world. She walks into mine.
Wow. Just wow.
What's that you're playing?
Oh, just a little something on my own.
Oh, stop it. You know what I want to hear.
No, don't.
You played it for her, you play it for me.
I love how they talk to each other like best buddies. I mean, it's clipped and it's direct. That's the way I talk to my buddies. There's no beating around the bush. It's really well portrayed in this. The writing, acting, and directing are phenomenal. And I don't know if you noticed the searchlight going across the window occasionally. So the ominous aspect is always outside.
Well, I don't think I can remember.
If she can stand it, I can. Play it.
Yes,
Wow. Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant acting. That little, wow. Whether he did just then, let's watch that again. I don't know if he was told to do that or if he just did that. But that's what we do, isn't it? Like when we're having a hard time wrestling with something that's going on, we just kind of have that. I mean, it's brilliant. Wow. The Max Steiner music behind Sam on this is great. And that look on his face. Okay, so that was scene 10. I just love the unfolding that's going on here, how we're being drawn measure by measure into the character of Rick. It is so brilliantly done. The acting is off the charts. The acting in this movie is perfection. The directing is perfection. The story and drama are perfection. The way it unfolds is perfection. And you know, we're at this point, we're only about a little over 30 minutes into the movie. It still has about an hour to go, or I think it's an hour or something like that to go. It's just like, at this point, you're just like, what the hell is going to happen next? So scene 11, we'll get into Paris. And I may clip that up a little bit, but we'll do that soon. Next. Okay. So we know from scene 10 how traumatic the breakup with Ilsa was for Rick. It's a huge scene in that previous scene, but we don't know why. We don't know the circumstances around it. We just know it was deep, it hurt. And the interesting thing about this 8-minute sequence in Paris in the movie is when it's over and Rick gets the Dear John letter from her at the train station, we still don't know why. We just know that it happened. And in fact, this is one of the great things, sort of Shakespearean in a way. Yeah, you get your act 2 and things thicken, things deepen. But it's brilliant that we don't know why, and we won't know why for a long time. And so Rick is a jaded character. Why is he jaded? What the hell happened? Okay, so this scene, this 8-minute sequence is really nice. We get the meat. We feel the love. We realize that they were truly in love, and it's quite well done. It's got a couple hokey, sort of obvious staged sequences, like in the car and on the boat, and you almost wince a little bit. It's so obvious, but you don't care. The conceit, you buy into the conceit. As a moviegoer, okay, it's fine. They're in a car. I also find it just a tad bit funny that Humphrey Bogart seems a little bit sort of not very comfortable playing Happy Rick. But you know, it kind of fits with his character. He's a guy. Guys are just a little bit less comfortable, I think, with showing their happiness than women. Women seem to be quite easy about it. But anyway, so maybe it works actually. But here we go with the Rick and Ilsa in Paris, scene 11. So let's do this. Great Max Steiner music on this. And if you'll notice, a lot of his background music is orchestral themes based on As Time Goes By and a few other songs. Bogart's got that, or Rick has got that sort of aw shucks look, you know, kind of everything. Anyway, it's kind of funny. It's good. I mean, they're in love. Love that. I mean, isn't this happy so far? We're less than a minute in. I mean, it's just happy. You just like knowing that standoffish hard-shell Rick, he was in love. And I mean, boy, this shows it right here. It's like 40 minutes into the movie and he was in love. So was she. Lovely.
Who are you, really?
Do you see how she kind of got all very excited about the champagne? That is exquisite acting on Ingrid's part. Watch this, and even that look on her face right there. It's like the champagne's getting poured. I get that feeling. Watch it when she sits down, when she's waiting for him to. Watch this. Look at this. Look at that look on her face. Ah, lovely.
Who are you really, and what were you before? What did you do, and what did you think, huh?
We said no questions.
Close up.
Here's looking at you, kid.
Famous line. Look how much light was on his face. He's in love. Just a little aside, Ingrid is a very tall, well, she's 5'9". That's tall for a woman. She's actually a little bit taller in real life than Humphrey Bogart. So they had to work things out a bit here. What? Look at that ball. So they had disco balls back in the day? I did not know that. I've never noticed that before. Lovely. The music.
Frank, for your thoughts.
Look at that face, folks. Goodness gracious, I just can't get over how beautiful Ingrid was.
In America, they'd bring only a penny.
Look at the lighting on this. The curtains lit up, but still dark. Just that noir feel stays throughout the movie. It's brilliant.
I guess that's about all they're worth.
Well, I'm willing to be overcharged. Tell me.
Well, I was wondering.
Nice line. I'm willing to be overcharged.
Yes.
Why I'm so lucky, why I should find you waiting for me to come along.
Why there is no other man in my life?
Uh-huh.
That's easy. There was.
Wow.
He's dead.
See the way she acted that? God dang, she's just such a good actress. Look at this change in expression. From that
There was.
to that. In 1.5 seconds, folks. God, just brilliant. I mean, just, it's so powerful.
He's dead.
I'm sorry for asking. I forgot we said no questions.
Only one answer can take care of all our questions.
How much of a shock was that for you? In the middle of a kiss, we get the Max Steiner terrific score on this, which is perfect. It's a perfect score. And then here's a short stock footage, film reel footage. It's so brief, but it sure drives home what's going on in the world and the danger of war. Wow. That music. love the perspective he did on that in the streets, down below the faces, the hubbub going on, frantic, everybody's frantic, people in windows. Fantastic directing again by Curtiz. Don't you love that hat on Ilsa? Just lovely.
Allemagne. Français, Parisiens. Les troupes françaises ont abandonné leur position. Les Allemands seront demain.
Isn't it interesting that Curtiz decided not to translate this, put subscripts on this for the viewers? It creates a more ominous atmosphere to just have an American audience, or most audiences that don't know German, that the strangers are coming into town and they will speak in their language. Terrific directing, terrific decision. She looks worried. He looks pensive. I'm not sure about worried. Maybe worried.
Nothing can stop them now. Wednesday, Thursday at the latest, they'll be in Paris.
Richard, they'll find out your record. It won't be safe for you here.
I'm on that blacklist already. Their roll of honor.
See how she hugged the table? Look at this. Directing. Is that not gorgeous? The light going through La Belle Aurore, which he talked about in that previous scene, where he said the Germans wore gray. You wore blue, the Germans wore gray, or the Germans wore gray, you wore blue, at the Belle Aurore. Oh, that's just amazing cinematography.
Never out of day, hearts full of passion, jealousy and hate. Woman
As time goes by.
and man must have his mate.
So this brings it full circle on the song. Now we know why they both asked for this song to be played by Sam.
That no one can deny.
Do you notice that glass holder? It was the Eiffel Tower glass holder. I used to have one of those actually.
That no one can deny.
Lighting.
It's still the same old story, a fight for love and glory, a case of do or die. The world will always welcome lovers. And
First time watching this movie, you don't know why she's got this particular expression on her face. I mean, look at that acting. Incredible, pensive acting right there. But of course, she's just found out about Laszlo being alive. We're clueless first time watching this. Rick is clueless. It's interesting, isn't it? If you go back and watch it again.
Henri wants us to finish this bottle and then 3 more. Says he'll water his garden with champagne before he let the Germans drink it.
Great line. Again, a jab at the Germans. But I love that nasal voice, happy nasal voice of Bogart. And look at him laugh. Isn't it great to see after seeing such a stoic presence for so long?
This sort of takes the sting out of being occupied, doesn't it, Mr. Richard?
Nice
You
line.
said it. He's looking at you, kid.
Second time he says that. Do you see how close Ilsa and Sam were there? Toasting each other in the air? I mean, God, she loved him. I mean, obviously as a friend, but this just imposes right away. This movie crackles. Just won't let you sit still.
Franzosen, Einwohner von Paris, hört aufmerksam zu. Die deutschen Truppen stehen vor den Toren von Paris. Eure Hauptstadt ist ohne jegliche Verteidigung. Euer Heer ist in Auflösung begriffen. Seid unbesorgt.
The occupiers just stroll right in with their blaring loudspeaker horns. Just imposing. Wow.
Wir werden Ruhe und Ordnung wiederherstellen.
The German's a little rusty.
It's the Gestapo. They say they expect to be in Paris tomorrow. They're telling us how to act when they come marching in.
Telling us how to act. Wow.
With the whole world crumbling, we pick this time to fall in love.
Yeah, it's pretty bad timing. Where were you, say, 10 years ago?
10 years ago. Let's see. Yes, I was having a brace put on my teeth.
Wow.
How were you?
Looking for a job.
Is that can on fire? Or is it my heart pounding?
It's a new German 77, been judging for this.
Great line. And we obviously know what kind of state she's in here, but he just takes it nonchalantly and starts talking about what kind of cannon it is.
Sound only about 35 miles away. I'm getting closer every minute. Here, drink up. We'll never finish the other 3.
The Germans will be here pretty soon now, and they'll come looking for you. And don't forget, there's a price on your head.
Okay, I find this really interesting. Yet again, we find out more about Rick from another character. He's got a price on his head. The Germans have a price on his head. What the hell has he done? Is it the Spanish War, the Ethiopian War that he was in? What has he done? Again, the mystery surrounding Rick. We don't know why he left New York. We now know why he's a shell of a guy, but we don't. What has he done? What has Rick done that people are after him? He can't return to America. I mean, it's really fascinating. His character, the mystery in his character is amazing.
I left a note in my apartment. They'll know where to find me.
He doesn't care.
Strange. I know so very little about you.
I know very little about you. Just the fact that you had your teeth straightened.
But be serious, darling. You are in danger and you must leave Paris.
No. We must leave.
Yes, of course we.
The train from Marseille leaves at 5 o'clock. I'll pick you up at your hotel at 4:30.
No, not at my hotel.
It's the first time we see a crinkle in her brow.
I have things to do in the city before I leave. I'll meet you at the station.
See how the way she handled the lying there? We know obviously later that she's lying in this, but the disingenuousness of what she does there is just amazing how she acted that.
All right, at 4:45.
He's so happy.
Hey, why don't we get married in Marseille?
Wow.
That's too far ahead to plan.
Yes, I guess it is.
Can you imagine being in her situation here? Wow, it really, especially, it's one reason why this movie is so great after the first watching. Every single time you watch it, you just catch more in it. And after you've watched it the first time, now you know the implication of this scene. The first time you're watching it, you're like, they're going to go away together. What's going on with her? Why is she acting this way? It's brilliant. Just, the mystery is brilliant.
A little too far ahead. Well, let's see. What about the engineer? Why can't he marry us on the train? Oh, why not? The captain on a ship can. It doesn't seem fair that...
She finally breaks down.
Hey, what's wrong, kid?
So much. And I hate this war so much. Oh, it's a crazy world. Anything can happen.
Again, watching it second time and further after her saying this, she knows she's got a decision to make. And I'm not entirely sure that she has made her decision yet here. Looking at it again. It's a crazy war.
You shouldn't get away. I mean, if something should keep us apart, wherever they put you and wherever I'll be, I want you to know that.
Wow.
Kiss me. Kiss me as if it were the last time.
Wow. So maybe she has made up her mind. Watch this, the way her hand falls down and spills the drink. What a metaphor. What great directing is coming up right here. With Max Steiner's music coming in with that drum and horns. Fantastic musicality as well. Again, the movie crackles straight to the train station from that scene. think the rain in this scene is just stupendous. I mean, it is raining. I mean, everything is happening. The war, their relationship, it's about to come to an end. It's just fantastic.
Dinner? No, Mr. Richard, I can't find her. She checked out of the hotel, but this note came just after you left.
And there it is, the Dear John letter. You know, this letter is so gorgeously written. Yet again, the writers on this, but this letter gives a clue that she did not want it to happen. I'm just going to go ahead and read it. I cannot go with you or ever see you again. You must not ask why. Just believe that I love you. Go, my darling, and God bless you. That is like somebody having to do something, still in love, but you get away. When you really think about it, that's what she's saying. There's a clue in what she's saying. She calls him Richard. She doesn't sign it love, Ilsa, because she says, and God bless you. Go, my darling, and God bless you. In fact, she doesn't say I love you in this. You must not ask why. Just believe that just believe that I love you. That's true. She does say it. Okay. So anyway, it's like the perfect Dear John letter from somebody who didn't really have a choice. She did, but she's going to fight the war. She's going to be brave. How about the directing and cinematography on this? The rain is her tears as a metaphor. The rain is washing away the love as a metaphor. The rain is his tears as a metaphor. Brilliant. Absolutely positively brilliant, and Steiner's music is brilliant. Wow.
That's the last call, Mr. Richard.
Watch Bogart's acting on this. Wow.
Do you hear me?
Devastation.
Richard, let's get out of here. Come on, Mr. Richard, come on.
It almost looked like he was pouting there. It almost looked like he was gonna cry. Did you see his lips pucker? He took one last look around for her. Now this scene right here, where he is completely devastated. He calls it later his comical look, because he's being flippant about it. But wow. Let's watch that again. Tosses the paper aside. And that's really metaphorically him tossing away the love, his going into his shell. Brilliant yet again by Michael Curtiz. But look at this, look at that. Look at that look on his face. And lovely Sam is just out of his mind worried. But that is right there, look at that. Wow. And then I'll stop it one more time with that devastation look. Right there. Look at that. Sam's got his hand on his chest, on his shoulder. I mean, wow. Just wow, wow, wow. Steam coming up. And that steam rolls into the next scene, which I'll review here in a minute. I just want to say that 8-minute sequence in Paris, actually it was 9-minute sequence in Paris is just phenomenal on letting us know the depth of their love and how that came to an end, but not why it came to an end. It's brilliant that we don't know why. We are still wondering. We need a denouement. We need to find out. We are hooked, absolutely and utterly hooked at this point in the movie. Yes, wow. Okay, all right, so let's move into the scene where he had said in scene 9, I'm waiting for a lady. Well, he's still in the same place. That flashback, he was still in the same place. Well, he was right. The lady's going to show. So let's do that scene next. First time I watched Casablanca, in this scene when Ilsa walks in, it's divine the way they have her walk in. She looks like an angel. of death or life or whatever, but I thought it was going to be the explanation scene. I thought we were going to find out why the Dear John letter. Why did you leave in Paris and leave him with that comical look on his face in devastation? And we don't find out. It's brilliant. Instead, maybe she was going to tell him, but he starts acting petulant and insulting towards her. So we find out that he can be that kind of man. It's another thing I love about Casablanca is Rick is not a perfect man. There's some growth that has to happen with Rick Blaine in that redemption process. Got to deal with it. Love how this scene starts out with him. He's half drunk, and it starts out with him spilling the glass, which is a nice connection to her just immediately before almost spilling her glass. Brilliant. Again. So here we go. Let's watch scene 12. It's a short 3-minute scene, and let's get into it. All right, so you see Sam. When Ilsa is about to show up, look at the lighting on her, the brilliant lighting, like a spotlight on the lovely woman. Right after she shows up, Sam is not here anymore. He obviously took off. They don't make a big deal out of it, but Sam booked. Watch the way this plays out. Look at that. And the music. Wonderful music. And she truly looks like an angel walking through the door, does she not? And in this relationship at this point, she really is the angel. She is the good person in the relationship. And both Rick and Sam are in the dark, staring right at her. And as we are staring at her. Wow, just brilliant. I mean, can you make out what he's thinking here? He doesn't know what to think. It's brilliant acting.
Rick, I have to talk to you.
I saved my first drink to have with you. Here.
Did you hear how he said you? I mean, there's acid on his tongue. It's not, again, it's terrific directing, terrific writing and acting, but we know this scene is not going to go well, don't we? It's heart-wrenching for me every single time to know what she has done and she's being treated this way. Boy, it just really hurts.
My first drink to have with you. Here.
No, Rick, not tonight.
Especially tonight. Why did you have to come to Casablanca? There are other places.
I wouldn't have come if I'd known that you were here.
Wow.
Believe me, Rick, it's true. I didn't know.
Funny about your voice, how it hasn't changed. I can still hear it. Richard, dear, I'll go with you any place. We'll get on a train together and never stop.
Don't, Rick.
Wow.
I can understand how you...
She's being so sweet. He's torturing her. He's being petulant. And she's staying sweet. It's just, it's one of those, it is a wrenching scene for me to watch.
You understand how I feel. How long was it we had, honey?
I didn't count the days.
I did.
I just want to say real quick, well, look at that look on his face. Wow. Wow. That's the kind of look you only have with mortal enemies. This man is so hurt. That's the way he handles it. But we're not, the first time watching the movie, you don't know that she didn't jilt him, that she didn't run off with another guy. So the sympathy, the first time you watch this, there's not a whole lot of sympathy for her. It's only after you've seen it once and you're watching it again that you have sympathy for her. So that's brilliant. First time you watch this, you don't know who to have sympathy for. And you have to, even right now, you can understand why he's mad. He thinks he got used. He thinks his deep love got used. It's brilliant. It's perfect.
Every one of them. Mostly I remember the last one.
See how he slurs? It's fantastic. I'm going to back it up. It's fantastic acting.
The wow finish, a guy standing on a station platform in the rain with a comical look on his face because his insides had been kicked out.
Acting again. Watch how his eyes flit over to her while he's making that last statement. Look at this right there. Watch this.
Face because his insides had been kicked out.
Wow.
Can I tell you a story, Rick?
Has it got a wow finish?
I don't know the finish yet.
Well, go on, tell it. Maybe one will come to you as you go along.
Wow.
It's about a girl who had just come to Paris from her home in Oslo. At the house of some friends, she met a man about whom she had heard her whole life. A very great and courageous man. He opened up for her a whole beautiful world full of knowledge and thoughts and ideals.
Okay, so this is wonderful. And again, the acting is great. Her face is just amazing. But she must know that Rick felt like he got jilted. That there was no good reason for it. What she really should do here is put his mind at ease and tell him what happened, what she does later in the bazaar at the tapestry seller. You know, I was married. I thought Laszlo was dead. I found out he was alive. Right? Why is she not doing that here? She's going on this tangent, and evidently, and maybe she was going to get to that, and he just doesn't give her a chance to do that. If that's the case, and I think it really is probably, this is brilliantly done to extend the mystery, to allow Rick to continue being who he is.
Everything she knew or ever became was because of him. And she looked up to him and worshipped him with the feeling she supposed was love.
Yes, it's very pretty. I heard a story once. As a matter of fact, I've heard a lot of stories in my time. They went along with the sound of a tinny piano playing in the parlor downstairs. Mister, I met a man once when I was a kid.
Wow.
It always begins. Well, I guess neither one of our stories is very funny. Tell me, who was it you left me for?
That look on his face when he said, "Tell me." I mean, he is so mad. It's brilliant acting, brilliant writing, brilliant directing, right up in their faces with Curtiz. Watch this.
Tell me, who was it you left me for? Was it Laszlo, or were there others in between? Or aren't you the kind that tells?
Oh my God, wow. Wow. After that, she's not going to explain anything. Wow. She should. She should be the bigger person and try to explain it to him. But now, he's just crapped on her. I mean, that's as nasty as it gets. Basically calling her a whore. Wow. Wow. You don't really like Rick to some degree after this scene. It's brilliant. After that, but after this, you're like, again, he was so emotional, that's why he did it. So now the sympathy comes back a little bit. The music. Okay, so obviously it's going to be the prefect's office, and Laszlo and Ilsa coming to the prefect's office. But I just wanted to say that scene just tears me apart every single time. I mean, tears Rick apart, obviously, and then it ends up tearing Ilsa apart. But I like the fact that throughout this movie, it crackles. It's not sugar-coated. This is the way during those tough times and what happened. That is probably how it might have, they would have dealt with it. How Rick would have dealt with it. So it's so realistic. There's no saccharine aspect to this movie. It may be the least saccharine movie of all time as far as relationships are concerned. But now, of course, with all of that going, and she walks out of the room, you know, she's walking back to Laszlo. Rick's going back to his cafe, and he's still got the letters of transit. So, and Laszlo and Ilsa are going to have to show up at the prefect's office with Strasser. So everything's been set. The ominous aspect has been set. And now Rick is in a bad place. So it's really interesting. You cannot wait for the next scene. So we'll take a look at scene 13 at the prefect's office next.